What if I told you there's a tree in the forest that tastes like bubblegum and root beer? This tree is sassafras. The roots were traditionally used in root beer recipes and teas, and the new growth of the leaves are also edible and taste like bubblegum. The twigs also make a good makeshift toothbrush because they have chemicals that help out the teeth and gums. So if you're ever camping and you forgot your toothbrush, just snap off a twig of sassafras and rub it on your teeth and gums. The leaves of sassafras form in 3 distinct forms. I call them the trident, the mitten, and the full leaf. And with these 3, it can be easily identified. I'm here with a very rare and obscure plant. You probably never heard of it. It's called Dandelion. Jokes aside, this is probably one of the most common weeds on the planet. The leaves, stems, and flowers of this plant are edible. It's rich in vitamins A, B, and C, and it also contains minerals like potassium, iron, and zinc. The root of this plant is used as a coffee substitute and can promote healthy liver function and balanced blood sugar. I've created a seasonal tea blend combining dandelion, burdock, chicory, licorice, and fennel. You can find it on my shop, sonofabear.shop. Violet is a spring plant that grows in the forest floor. This plant is easy to identify with, obviously, its violet flowers and its heart-shaped leaves. The leaves, flowers, and stems of violet can be eaten raw or cooked. The violet flowers can be used as an aesthetically pleasing topping for any dish you have. You can also use the flowers to make a violet syrup, if you want that purple drink. This plant is known as Indian cucumber. It has a tuber that tastes a lot like an actual cucumber. You can identify this plant with its long stem that forms a star pattern further up the plant of 5 to 11 leaves, and then it also forms another stem with a smaller star of 3 leaves, and then a flower above that when it's more mature. The rhizomes can be dug up and are edible raw or cooked, and they taste quite delicious. Dryad saddle is an edible mushroom that's often overlooked in the springtime. This mushroom has a strange watermelon cucumber taste to it, which is different from any other mushroom that I've found. You find this growing in the springtime on hardwood stumps and logs, particularly tulip poplar and elm. This mushroom is a polypore that's easily ID'd by its dark scales. You want to collect this mushroom when it's young and tender because it tends to get chewy as it gets older. If you find an older specimen, you can cut around the edges of the mushroom because the outer rim of the mushroom will be more tender than the center. In mythology, this mushroom is seen as a seat for fairies and dryads, hence the name Dryad saddle. I'm going to show you how to ID reishi in 3 different stages. First up, we have baby reishi. This forms as white nodes on hemlock trees for Ganoderma suge. Now this mushroom will start to form an antler or a UFO depending on its morphology. The next stage, we have the adolescent reishi. Now this becomes multicolored with yellow, red, and orange with a white ring on the outside of the mushroom. Finally, we have mature reishi. This forms as a huge shelf coming off of the tree and usually is a solid reddish-brown color. At this stage, the spores have already been released, so it's okay to harvest and dry the mushroom at this stage. I've created this reishi tea blend that combines ashwagandha and licorice and helps me relax and soothe my nerves at night. You can find it on my shop, sonofabear.shop. This plant is known as lesser periwinkle. It grows in the forest floor as ground cover with these pinwheel-shaped flowers. This is a medicinal herb that is used in the pharmaceutical industry as the chemical vincamine. This compound is used to enhance memory and improve brain function. It can also be used as a mouthwash to fight gingivitis and sore throat. You can use the leaves and the flowers to make teas or tinctures. This plant can be toxic in high doses, so use it sparingly. Don't use this plant every day. Stinging nettle has a whole host of medicinal properties. This plant is anti-inflammatory. It helps reduce histamines, helping with seasonal allergies. It can fight urinary tract infections, enlarge prostates, help balance blood sugar, and increase testosterone by binding with excess estrogen in the body. In the Middle Ages, this plant was used for self-flagellation, so you can do that too if that's your thing. This plant is best used in teas, tinctures, or it can be eaten cooked like spinach or in soups. I'm here with Red Deadnettle. Now this plant is red, but it's not dead, and it's not a nettle. It is, however, an edible plant that grows in the early spring. It has pinkish purple flowers that extrude off the sides of the plant. The plant has triangular leaves with small, fine hairs. It's great in salads, stir fries, and in soups. Now I'm going to talk about the difference between dead nettle and henbit, because these plants are often confused with one another, and frequently they'll be found growing right next to each other. They're both in the mint family. However, henbit has clover-shaped leaves that are quite jagged and fairly hairless, whereas dead nettle has triangular-shaped leaves that are quite hairy. Both of these plants are edible and can be eaten raw or cooked. This edible and medicinal plant is known as henbit. It is found in the winter and spring. This plant is great for digestive support, healthy bowel function, is also a stimulant, and can help reduce fevers. This plant has square stems and is in the mint family. It has clover-shaped leaves that are quite jagged. It is often confused with red dead nettle, but I cover the differences in one of my previous videos. This plant is also edible. It can be used in soups, stir fries, and in salads. This edible mushroom is known as wood ear. This mushroom grows on dead hardwood limbs and twigs. This mushroom is very nutritionally dense with a lot of vitamins and minerals like iron and copper. This mushroom has been used in Asian cuisine, especially in soups and stir fries. If you're feeling romantic, you can cut off an ear and send it to your sweetheart. You'll want to distinguish wood ear from amber jelly roll, which is another edible mushroom that grows on limbs and twigs. I'm going to show you the differences between wood ear mushroom and amber jelly roll. Now these mushrooms both grow on limbs and twigs all year round. They look fairly similar to one another. Wood ear has more of a definite ear shape, whereas amber jelly roll is more formless. Amber jelly roll also has a darker red color. Wood ear, on the other hand, has a lighter brown color. Both of these mushrooms are edible and can be eaten in soups and stir fries. Did you know there's a plant in the forest that tastes similar to a sweet tart? It's called wood sorrel, and it's full of vitamin C. It has a sweet and sour taste to it. This plant is a great trail nibble while you're hiking, or you can collect some and bring it home for a salad. I also recommend pairing it with sassafras, which tastes more like a fruit